Hello, friends. Welcome to the Cut It Out podcast. Today's guest is Jacob Kedzierski. He is a collage artist and filmmaker from Buffalo, New York, my hometown. So excited to have him here. And this podcast is brought to you by the official Red Wizard Surreal Collage kit, my friends. Hey, this holiday season, you're going to have to buy a weird gift for your strange and unpredictable friends. Why not get them a package filled with all sorts of weird stuff that they could take home and make their own very weird collage with to upset your in-laws and your small children? These are available on my website. And please buy them because I have a ton of collage stuff that I want to get out of my studio. It's all super cool. And it makes at least three collages. And there's over 20 vintage images in there for you. Okay, that's enough shameful plugging for today. Let's get Jacob in here right now. Hey, Jacob.
Hey, David. Amazing opening.
Hey, I love that vintage VHS feel, man.
Yeah, I'm with you. I love it too.
So now, when I was getting things ready for this episode, I don't know why I never noticed it before, but I follow you on Instagram. That's how we met. I love your work, and I noticed that your bio says too alien for Earth, too human for outer space. And starting with the hard questions, what do you mean by that?
Well, I'm really into aliens and outer space, and since I was a kid, and I actually lifted that from someone else's Instagram account, and I thought it was cool. I was like, oh, I could kind of relate to that, and yeah, it fits there perfectly, and it kind of sums me up.
Nice.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any like alien experiences or anything like that?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, I haven't had any missing time, or I've never seen a UFO or a UAP now. But I love it.
So did you grow up like watching like X-Files and stuff like that? How did this all? Yeah.
Read a lot of books, sci-fi books. Arthur C. Clarke is my favorite author.
Rendezvous with Rama, one of my favorites.
Yeah. Love all of them. I think there was 4 in all in that series.
Oh yeah, I've only read the first one. That I've read 2001.
Yeah.
And then did he write Childhood's End as well?
Did, yeah.
Yeah, those are all great. Yeah. The book makes a lot more sense than the movie. I mean, they're both amazing.
Yeah.
If you ever watched 2001 and left tired and not knowing what the hell happened, I highly recommend the book.
Yeah. So yeah, just always been into like aliens and outer space and life out there, and that title is perfect for me.
I never saw a UFO, but I saw somebody seeing a UFO, which is awful. It was a 4th of July party, and a friend of mine's buddy like came to hang out with our friends, and this was in college, and my friends could be overwhelming. And I was looking out the window, and I saw this guy Tony, who'd like first time hanging out with us, and I saw him like alone in this like swinging love seat in our backyard, and he was just like looking up at the sky, and I'm like, man, Tony's not having any fun, dude. I feel bad for him. And I like get some bullshit out of the fridge, and I walk around, and I go back outside, and like there's like 10 of my friends like, holy shit, did you see that? Oh my god. Tony was looking at a UFO outside when I thought he was just kind of like moping in a chair. He was just like awestruck looking at a UFO.
He's probably in that UFO.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah. We never saw him again, I guess. So I want to start off by talking about the world of napkins. That's a show that you had was like a year or two ago.
It was a year ago, November 4th. So yeah, we just passed the 1-year anniversary of the show.
I got an image right here. So this is what is this? A collection of napkins that you've
Yeah,
basically curated?
yeah. So I've been collecting since I was about 6 years old,
Wow.
and yeah, it was something I always wanted to do was to do a show of it. I probably had the idea for about, I don't know, 12 years, 15 years. And when I was living in New York, I was looking at places there, but it was just too expensive and it just didn't work out. And then when I moved back to Western New York in 2019 and became a member at Carnegie, it kind of like dawned on me. It's like, oh, I should do it here, in my hometown. And um, it ended up getting postponed because of the pandemic, and then it eventually um,
How
got.
many napkins were on the show? So those of you that aren't watching the video and you're just listening, um, basically Jacob's filled an entire room of napkins. Some are looks like hundreds are framed on the wall. We got some on like the floor of the table. We got like a mosaic of a heart, all napkins. How many were in the show? Do you have any idea how many were in there?
I think I put in probably 300 or 400 from
Mm-hmm.
the collection. I'm estimating I have about 10,000 in the collection.
Wow.
So yeah, it took a while to go through them all, which I had never done before. They were just in storage, and they've traveled all over the country with me too. I lived out in Denver for a while, California, New York City, and here. So it always like traveled. When I was moving from New York to Denver, my sister made a joke. She figured out all the boxes I had. It was probably 40% of my belongings that I moved were napkins.
Wow.
Yeah. It's something like that. It was a lot.
I think we have a lot to unpack here with these boxes because there's so much cool
Yeah.
things to talk about. Like
Yeah.
on one end, I'm like curious as to know like what drew you to napkins, and the other, as a collage podcast, we often talk about the source material and stuff, and here is a show that really just kind of celebrates the material in a way.
Yeah.
It's like here are my awesome napkins.
Yeah.
So what made you interested in napkins at such a young age?
It was a Santa Claus napkin. And I was just a young kid excited about Christmas, and was third grade, and teacher was handing out the napkins. I just saw this Santa napkin. I was like, oh, this is so cool. And I just like started collecting them. And then my whole family has gotten involved too, and friends, uh, call them like my field collectors.
Yeah.
And they just send me napkins, and I've just been accumulating them over the years.
One of my previous guests, Lance Letcher, who's like a legendary collage artist, he's got it. Let me just put it this way: it seems like a really good idea to let people know if you really want something, a specific thing, like they'll get it to you.
Yeah,
Lance, like his whole town is like dropping stuff at his front door.
yeah.
You know,
I still get boxes of. I just got one a few months ago from a woman who found me online, and I think it was her brother passed away who collected, so she sent me all his napkins to merge into my collection, and so I've accumulated quite a few other collectors' collections too.
is that could somebody go on eBay and sell their napkin collection, or do you kind of look out because people can't sell a napkin collection?
It
Like,
depends. I've actually bought napkins off of eBay.
mm-hmm.
Uh, One summer I was into 80s napkins, so I was looking any like ET or Pac-Man or those you can usually find on eBay, full packs of them. But selling like an individual napkin, I don't know how much. Like,
I
who's gonna
see.
buy one napkin?
So do you like to look for, so now I'm picturing like a ET birthday napkin from the 80s. Are you
Yeah,
like
yeah,
fond of like birthday napkins and stuff
yeah,
and like holiday napkins?
hat
Okay.
and everything.
uh I'm just curious. So I mean, when you're at a restaurant and maybe they just have a meh napkin, like I was just at Jim's Steakout today.
Hmm.
The napkins didn't say Jim Stakeout, but if you didn't have a Jim Stakeout napkin, would you grab a Jim Stakeout napkin?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I do. I'm pretty sure I have a Jim Stakeout from years ago when they actually printed. A lot of places don't print on napkins anymore because it's too expensive.
Do you like napkins that have like lipstick on them or any evidence of use that's interesting, or do you like cream crisp napkins?
No, just a clean napkin.
Okay.
I usually ask people to grab two in case one gets destroyed, or I always thought I would get into trading because there's a whole network of collectors around the world.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't have time to do it right now. But I mostly now look for like vintage stuff, older.
What's the oldest napkin you have?
I want to say it's like 1946,
Nice.
around there. Yeah, yeah.
Did you have any particular like goals with the World of Napkins show? Was there anything that you wanted to like communicate with all these napkins, or did you just want it like, what were you thinking like when you did this show?
Yeah, I just wanted to show them and see them up and kind of show off the collection a little. I've been doing it for so long. I'm like, what am I gonna just keep them in boxes forever? And I thought about like making like a coffee table book or something like that. And then I was like, I should just do a show so people can come in and look at them, and yeah, just go from there. And it was very successful show.
Yeah, what were some of the? Were there any reactions that you saw that kind of stuck with you?
So many good reactions. The coolest thing was I met so many other collectors.
Interesting.
Met someone that collected paper bags, matchbooks, vacuums.
Vacuum bags?
No, like the vacuums. Like,
They collect vacuums?
yeah, like the whole thing.
It sounds like an expensive hobby.
Yeah. Irons, like iron.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So I thought that was really cool, like connecting with other collectors, and I was like, oh, we should do a group collector show and show off all these like oddball collections.
Yeah, I'm kind of catching like a ready-made vibe, like
Yeah.
Are there any urinal collectors out there? If you collect urinals, let us know.
Yeah, hit
in
up
the comments.
yeah.
That's really awesome, man. I've done some zine trading, and some of the zines that I've enjoyed were I've gotten a few where people just would collect really random old ads in the back of like comics, magazines, and newspapers,
Yeah.
Another one I got was called Passive Aggressive Postcards. So this person was a postcard collector, and they just made a simple zine of all these ones that people were kind of being rude to one another. It's really neat to just see something. I don't know. A gallery's cool because it could totally create context, or it could totally remove context, right?
Right.
You're like, this is a napkin. It's a birthday napkin. It's not at a birthday party.
Yeah.
It's not in your drawer. It's like on the wall. Look at it. I love how the gallery could just kind of create a vacuum, like around an object.
Yeah. And the way I had it designed was I wanted someone to go in and kind of be overwhelmed at first.
Mm-hmm.
See, all the napkins as one whole exhibit, and as you step closer, you realize that that each one is different and something new to discover, or even stir up old memories. I had like a napkin in there from the food court from the Boulevard Mall, and a bunch of people were like, "Oh, I remember that."
Oh yeah.
And just little memories like that. Or there was like a birthday napkin. Someone came in and was like, "Wow, I remember this napkin from elementary school. I can't believe I would I totally forgot about it until I saw it, and it just brought up all these memories."
Yeah, I could picture that. It's almost like when you get like that smell memory. You smell something you haven't smelled in 20 years, and you're like, "Whoa!" Yeah. So how did you do the framing? It looks like you kind of did it clever and economically. Did you take like standard frames and just kind of jam napkins in there the best you could?
Yeah, I spent about a year going to like thrift stores and estate sales buying them. I tried not to spend more than like $1 a frame.
Good.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely on a budget. And then yeah, I just started plopping them in there. I did like the main wall. I did like a pre-layout,
Mm-hmm.
so when we were installing, it would go a little bit quicker.
Your
Yeah,
pre-layout, is that something that you do like kind of pencil and paper to scale, or
no, I
what's
actually
that?
like laid out uh, boards and placed all of the frames where I wanted them, and then put nails in the board. So when I got to the gallery, I just put up the boards, the 4x4. There's like 4 of them because it's like 16 feet wide. And then I had each one numbered, so I'd be like, oh, hang number 1 here, hang number 2 here, and just went
That's
back.
really smart. It's
Yeah.
really smart.
And then I started like noodling in more stuff, like smaller frames to build depth.
Okay.
And then I added those like on site. That I didn't even know how I was gonna do until I got there.
Your frames, were you looking for totally spotless ones, or did you kind of have like an acceptable amount of like wear and tear that you thought would like fit the show?
I like the wear and tear.
Sure.
Some of them are like in pristine, so it's all over the place. They all have glass. That was my main thing. I was like, I wanted them to be
Sure.
glass.
I've become really fond of some spaces in like tattoo shops where they repurpose a ton of. It's actually really like a cool tattoo shop. It's almost like a oops, I think I removed you by accident. Okay, there you go. Like I was just in a tattoo shop tonight, and all these cool different frames put together, and all these different things put together. Like it works if you have an eye. You can have a brown frame next to a black frame next to a gold. That's a really cool project. That's really awesome.
Yeah, and the layout, I was inspired by this skateboarder photographer Ed Templeton. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but
The name is definitely familiar.
yeah, I saw one of his shows, not in person, but just online. He did something like that with photos.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, I want to do that, but with the napkins. So I was nod to Ed for.
I think speaking of photos, I think it might be a good time to jump over to your streets of was it where you took all the photographs, was it in Colorado?
Yeah.
What's the name of this piece?
This Streets of Denver.
Yeah, there we go.
So this series, I've done a few different cities, I think 5 in all.
Mm-hmm.
But Denver's is unique because I actually printed so I went around and photographed every street name in Denver, printed everything, cut it out, and then glued it together in this collage mosaic.
That is so damn cool, man.
Thanks.
It's such a smart idea too.
The other ones I did in Photoshop, and it was I did Manhattan, and at the Manhattan show, an artist came out and was like, hey, this is really cool, but if you want to take it to the next level, you should do it like analog. And I was like, oh, that is crazy. I couldn't do that. And then like maybe like 6 years later, I was like, oh, I want to do Denver and do it like traditional style. And it's definitely the way to do it.
Did you end up making prints of this analog work?
Yeah, so I photographed it and made posters and stuff like that.
Cool. I would imagine that. I've never been to Denver, but from what I hear about it, that I'm sure people really appreciated this work.
Yeah, it was well received. People were pretty blown away by it. And it's also like a game because you look for the street that you live on.
Mm-hmm.
And then, other streets bring up memories. And yeah, it's a very interactive piece.
When you were photographing the street signs,
did
you intentionally have some very bright and some kind of dim, or was were those photographs just kind of, did it naturally occur to have those change in like tone?
I just, photographed at all different times of the day. So I
Mhm.
definitely used like shadows, and yeah, sometimes I would like overexpose it, and it was all random though. And it wasn't until I got into Photoshop and started making like the printout posters, like cutting out each sign and put it onto another um, canvas to print.
How
Uh,
did you keep track of knowing like which streets you did and stuff? Because that looks like a lot. How many streets?
there's in Denver, I believe there's like 2,300 different street names.
Wow.
So I just compiled a list of every street, and as I shot, I just checked it off. And when I started, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna take like a year to do," and it ended up taking about 2 years.
Would you like allocate time in your schedule to do it, or like how did you approach that?
I literally worked on it every day. Uh,
Whoa.
yeah, even if it was just for like an hour or like after work, I would go out and like shoot a couple signs. I was always chipping away at it. I got like pretty obsessive with it because I knew if I just was relaxed about it, it would never get done. It's such like a daunting project, and
Yeah.
I'd already committed to it, and I was like, I can't like not do it now. Uh, and yeah, I just kept plugging along.
What were you working on in those 2 years when you were like, what were you doing during that time when you were chipping away at this project, taking those photos?
Well, I was working, just living in Denver and working at an equipment rental house. I was a camera tech. Uh,
Mhm.
so we would rent gear to, you know, movies and news productions and video productions, stuff like that. Uh,
How big is that final piece there? Is it like 6 feet long or
it's
8 feet?
4 by 8 feet.
Wow.
Yeah. And when I started like gluing it together, I did like a dry layout, and it needed to be bigger. Like I had to go back and reprint stuff smaller to fit in the 4 by 8 canvas. Uh,
Did you so you sounds like you had access, did you had access to like printing equipment and stuff? Did you print like in house at work, or did you how did you print all these?
I used this place online, Nations Photo Lab.
Mhm.
Not sponsored by them, but I would wait till they would do sales, and they were
Mhm.
doing like 16 by 20 prints for it was like a couple bucks. So that's what I was saying. I would take each individual picture, cut out the sign, and place it onto a 16 by 20 canvas,
Oh,
and then I would print those, um, which I printed. I think I printed like 90 of those.
wow.
Yeah,
Wow. Wow.
it's crazy. Uh, and my roommate Johnny at the time, there was like towards the end, because I had no studio. I had taken over the whole living room. He was just like, "Dude, are you okay?" Like, because he was helping me with the two, driving me around to different parts of town that I couldn't bike to, and but yeah, towards the end, it was pretty crazy.
You didn't have like a pentagram of candles in the middle of this, like I think it's like the token serial killer
Yeah,
motel room situation.
totally. I was like, "What did I get myself into?" Uh, but then when I finished it, it was worth everything. It was just turned out better than I had imagined.
Did
Uh,
you have to do any kind of strict file management with your digital photos to keep track of all these?
yeah, yeah, and that was a little bit easier because I have a background in video post production
Hmm.
on a lot of reality shows where we shoot, hundreds of hours of footage, and just the way we ingest footage and catalog it. I kind of took that approach with photos and broke it up
Hmm.
into different sections of town, and um, yeah,
Yeah, all that. I mean, when you're making art, I'm surprised at how many times something that seems totally like, not that photography is totally unrelated to art, but I'm always surprised how often that like others should have learned can apply to like
yeah,
managing a project and stuff like that.
totally.
That's stunning. And where's the original now?
It's still in Denver. It's actually just got moved to. It's called the Art Loft, and is it a VBRO? Is that what it's like, the competitor to Airbnb? VBR, is that what it's?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a VBRO rental. So you can go to Denver, and there's other artists in the art space. It's a really cool space. And my friend David owns it and is running it. It's definitely an experiment, but you walk into the place. I haven't been there in person yet, but you know that's in there, the streets of Denver, and there's a bunch of other local artists. Um, so I'm not sure.
So is it it's displayed in a place that people could rent, or
Yeah, it's like Airbnb, but I think it's a VBR. I should have looked at the name better, but I think it's
That's cool.
VBR. Yeah, it's really cool. So it's an experiment. He's putting like QR codes underneath people's pieces, and like people who rent the space can go, if they want a poster of it, they can buy a poster. He's experimenting with that. He's like, he has a photographer in there that shoots all like the concerts at Red Rocks.
Oh man, I want to go there. All my
So
hippie acts play there. Yeah.
amazing photos. I mean, it's an amazing place to see music. So that's exciting to have it in a new spot. And
So you lived in Colorado, and you mentioned earlier you lived in New York. Did your your film and video work take you to these places?
yeah, well, I went to college in Denver
Okay.
for video and film production at the Colorado Institute of Art. And then, I graduated, kind of roamed around for a little bit, and then ended up in New York. And that's really where I started my career.
So is would you say your day job is like film and video work?
Yeah,
Cool.
post-production.
So are you currently working on any projects right now in film and video?
Yeah. Mostly reality shows, like 90 Day Fiance, Love During Lockup, Love After Lockup. Yeah, I don't know.
Do you now you're an editor, right? Is this like work you could do remotely?
Yeah, so
Wow.
I work everything from home, and I do all the blurs. I'm the blur guy. So I cover up
What? Oh, okay. All right.
I cover up people's faces, and
Uh,
like any products or anything like for legal purposes.
so
So
somebody walks in with like an NFL hat and like
yeah,
a shirt, you're like, God damn it. And you're like,
yeah,
blur everything. Gotcha.
these shows are like heavy on blurs.
Mm.
So, I do that like full time. It's, new episode that comes in every week. So I work with the final edit of the show.
So when that Black Mirror reality comes true, where you could just blur humans out of your existence, if you know which episode I'm talking about,
Yeah.
you'll be that guy, just like
Yeah.
blurring the guy from Mad Men out wherever he goes, whatever. That was a dark episode, man.
It was.
So speaking of blurry faces, is being the blur guy, is that what got you into these these abstract, surreal faces? This is what I fell in love with your work, seeing stuff like this. I know these are some of your more recent ones.
Yeah.
But tell us about these, men, because you seem to have a lot of them, and I don't know. There's plenty of crappy collages out there of people, putting, junk on people's faces, but these are really neat to me.
Thank you.
How'd you get into doing the face collages? They seem to be a pretty consistent thing for you.
I think it stems back from when I was a kid. Me and my sister used to collage, and we would make funny faces. Take an eye from this person, take an eye from this other person, and lips from and we'd make these faces, and they were hilarious. And recently, my mom found like a whole bunch of our old collages.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's got to stem from that. I mean, it could be maybe a deeper rooted thing, but it's also like duality and
well, it doesn't have to be deep, right? If you just like making cool faces, why not?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think they look cool and they're fun. They definitely make you look at it twice because it's
This
like,
one's so cool.
no thanks. Uh, and I also try to do them with minimal pieces. My
Sure.
favorite collages are the ones with like 2 or 3
Yeah.
different, you know, cutouts or whatever.
Some of my most successful collages personally on Instagram. One thing that Instagram was good for is like you get that instant like, oh, people like this, you know.
Right,
And some of my pieces that only have 2 or 3 for actual pieces in them, like perform really well.
right. Yeah, I guess that other one's not a good example of a basic one, but that's I always strive for that. And like this series, I picked up a book on it was all the portraits of the presidents,
Mm.
and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna like start cutting these up, and they're consistently all kind of the same, like the same paper. So when they glued together, it's looks kind of blends a little bit better, but
Mm-hmm.
and you have like a glossy page and a matte page.
Is that Dick Nixon's mouth in the front there?
It could be, yeah. Yeah. I should have kept track of which presidents are in each, but maybe that could be like a game or something like.
Since you're a science fiction fan, have you ever heard any interviews where Alan Moore talks about like using like magic collage to make stories?
No,
I did it once. So
really?
uh, I think it was, I might be butchering the story, but William S. Burroughs came up with he was into I hate saying the word magic, but he was into uh, occultism, and one of the creative methods he would do is he would like cut up a text
Hmm.
and like put it, put them together like randomly, and not even just like letter by letter. He would just like quarter cut sheets of a book, different books, and like stick them all
Oh,
together, and just kind of create all these permutations or whatever. And then he would like look through them to see if he came up with anything that was interesting. And Alan Moore, he wrote The Watchmen and V for Vendetta and some of these big, graphic novels.
yeah.
And when him and his pals like first sat down to try to like summon like a spirit or whatever,
Yeah.
they did the William S. Burroughs like method, but for like with like some old like magic books or whatever. And he claims to have like summoned this particular thing that Aleister Crowley like said he contacted.
Really? Oh,
Yeah. So when I have one over here.
yeah. Let's see this.
So this isn't very pretty, but I for my graphic novel, I did this over a year ago and it just sat on the shelf. And then when I was like, I need something spicier. Actually, I needed a character that seemed to be, it's science fiction. I needed a character that seemed to be kind of talking from a totally like different world, And so I cut up some like ancient scripture books. My dog already chewed it up years ago, so they were already screwed up. And I put them together by gluing, and then I picked my favorite ones, and I just kind of practiced like inking them on.
Oh, yeah.
I just kind of practiced inking them, and the one that stuck with me and somehow completely fit into my theme, even though I didn't even like have an idea for a story when I did this. This one says, for those who serve the abyss, or repression pulls asunder, for those who serve the abyss full of hate and greed, jealousy, should never hate a dead man. Suddenly I thought of you. Your crimination are called human bodies of the restless mind. So having that come from some crazy ass
I know.
space spirit,
Those guys are definitely out there.
yeah, for sure. So yeah, William S. Burroughs wrote Naked Lunch and The Soft Machine. Probably a very famous heroin addict too, I think. but came up with different collage methods for like writing and found poems and stuff like that.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
So when we were kind of doing some back and forth, getting ready for the show, well, I think you mentioned that you have a like a t-shirt collaboration, and you've mentioned skateboarding in the past. I don't want to blow up your spot or anything, but you've done work with skateboarding like companies and skateboarding apparel people, right?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, I grew up skateboarding. It's just a passion, lifelong passion. And then this board here, Mom's Skate Shop in Buffalo, New York, they reached out to me, I think it was 2 years ago, and just asked if I wanted to do a board, a shop board for them. And I was all about it. It's like a dream. I've always wanted to do like board graphics, and just never thought it was attainable because I'm not like an artist as in drawing. And then, yeah, so we did the collage, and yeah, he did like, I think there was 5 different colors for it, background color.
So, okay, I was wondering if the whole print run had to be 5 colors. Or...
No, it was all, yeah, just the wood color.
Was it like a decal that was manufactured and then did they like varnish it over or something?
I'm not sure the technical process, but it was like a full decal that was probably like heat pressed on or something like that. It wasn't like a screen print. I know that.
That is so cool, man.
Yeah.
How did you get that effect with that skull? Was that just like an asset, or did you?
So Dave at the shop who owns Mom's, he's also a collage artist, skateboarder.
Oh, cool.
And he sent over, he does a lot of cool stuff with Xerox machines.
Yeah, he did like dragged it on the Xerox.
Yeah, so he had all these like Xerox stuff he messed with. He's like, oh, include these in with it, or see if these will work or whatever. And when I saw, I was like, oh, these are so cool.
Dude, that is wild, man.
Yeah,
I would be totally stoked to do a skateboard. I'm sure you were so pumped.
I was. Like I said, it was like a lifelong dream, and then once they started selling at the shop, I would see like kids walking down Hurdle with them. I was like, this is cool. This is really
that is so cool, man.
Yeah,
because that plants the seed, man. Like kind of like your napkin story. You might be carrying something around when you're 10.
Yeah,
you know about it. You don't know everything about it.
Yeah,
and then when you get older, you're like, oh yeah, like
yeah,
I was all about this back in
yeah,
back when I was younger. Like that's gonna happen with these boards,
Yeah, and so from this, my friend Noah saw it. He's the art director at Stussy, and one of his friends was doing stuff for the Undefeated brand. So I did a few shirts for them after this, and most recently doing some shirts for Stussy that'll be out probably early next year.
Where
it's collage too.
My last podcast with Morgan and Jesse Lappin, we got into the whole like thing with commercial work and collage. Did you find it difficult at all to get it approved? Or
I watched that episode because I've always been curious. I've read so many different things about it, and with these, I stayed away from like National Geographics, like no Walt Disney, like anything that's like so blatant, like you see it. And then, I just try to alter it as much as I can where it's not even recognizable.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what I try to do too. And I think that's a healthy and good like rule of thumb, right? You don't we can't like completely like cripple ourselves, and we shouldn't be slapping Mickey Mouse,
right? And
I
want my work to say something on its own, not be like, oh, that's just, you know, a Disney thing that he caught up and da 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 da. Like, I'd rather, or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah, I kind of have a chip on my shoulder with, you see it a lot with artists that kind of copy like Andy Warhol and the pop artists, where it's like, yeah, okay, I get it. Everyone loves Captain America and Spider-Man. You painted them really neat. Like,
yeah,
sometimes I wish I was happy doing that because I feel like I would get more sales, you know. But like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You know, like you're just making Captain America, you know, like
no, yeah, it's nothing original or
no.
So yeah, when I work with these brands, it's definitely a thing that we talk about, and sometimes we'll use stuff that they purchase, like images they buy. But another place I like to go to is the archive.org.
Oh, I love that website.
Yeah, you know. So
I've never used it for, well, I don't think I've ever used it for collage though. I've definitely like gone in deep for like references and like old comics I wanted to look at. You know, I don't want to pay $300 for Plastic Man #2. I'll just look at it on archive.org, you know.
Yeah. And I've done a few music videos with footage from that site.
Sweet.
Yeah, and it's all, you know, it's fair use. And
you're a musician too?
No,
you've done them for, you've been like hired to make music videos?
Bands, yeah, like edited videos for them.
Cool. I was on a reality show in Buffalo, actually.
Which one?
Oh man, it was a wild success. It was American Rehab Buffalo, and we redid a house on the west side, and I was the gardener, and I just lost my shirt. Just like, oh, we're gonna shoot today. Yeah, bring all the flowers. And then no, we're not gonna shoot today. After like 3 weeks, I wound up being on the show for like a grand total of like 15 seconds.
Yeah.
The only people that called me that said that they saw me, when it finally aired, they saw me at like 5 a.m. Both the people were on the same flight, like on a JetBlue flight leaving Buffalo at 5 a.m.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So got lots of phone calls, lots of business.
Yeah.
But I've seen how it works, man. It's really interesting. I can see how TV evolved into that, because it's like you don't need a big studio. You got like 10 people with camera, sound, and director, and like you just shoot it all. Or, you know, sorry, I'm getting off topic.
You just keep rolling. You don't turn the camera off. That's how it used to be. I think now it's changed a little. It's a little bit more like structured as far as what and where they shoot. But when my first job in reality TV was probably like 2004 on the show called Home Delivery. I don't know if you saw that one. It was like a daytime show, but we would travel all over the country shooting these crazy stories. And
I'm more of a 600-pound life guy.
Well, we would do stories like that. We would go to like Philly, and we would go I remember this woman was like 800 pounds, and her family was upset that she couldn't leave the house. So we would do these stories, and that's when I realized I was like, wow, they shoot a lot.
So this is making me realize you don't just blur out faces, do you?
Yeah, I've blurred everything.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So when are your do you have are the shirts coming out soon? Your collage shirts that you were just talking about?
I think early next year. I know it's like for the 2023 season, everything's like a year ahead. So I think I think it's in the spring.
Wow, they do fashion trends a year and ahead, huh?
Yeah.
That reminds me of Philip K. Dick's Ubik. Have you read that one?
No, but I've read some of his stuff.
Yeah, I think in Ubik they are psychics that are used for predicting fashion trends. And the main characters go to this like moon base, and that's all I'll let you know. I highly recommend it.
That's awesome.
So we had a great combo. I'm trying to think if I forgot anything. Maybe the one thing I'd like to talk about before we go is, for a while now, we've just brainstormed a bit about, creating the Buffalo Collage Collective. And it's still something I would really like to do. But with, limited time and things, I just have to be like so laser focused on what I spend my time on. Like I joke now that if I plan on farting, I have to call a babysitter 3 weeks in advance, just with the 3 kids and stuff.
Yeah.
I guess I'm wondering, like, when we do this, like, what would you like to do with it? Like, I know, I'm inspired by, the Brooklyn Collage Collective and the other ones that have sprung up.
Yeah.
I just think it would be really neat if, what's that saying? Like the rising tide raises all ships, right?
Mhm.
So if we could get a bunch of collage artists together in Western New York and like Southern Ontario and collectively, get shows together and help each other, I just think that would be just really awesome for all of us,
That's how I've always envisioned it. Just getting together and making collage and doing shows. And I love zines, the idea of doing zines. So it'd be cool to do like Buffalo Collage Guild zine, quarterly or like twice a year or something like that. But for me, the most is just everyone getting together and collaging and
100%.
Yeah.
I like the zine idea too. And I think ever since Sugar City closed, I don't think there's been any like little zine fests or anything here too. Maybe we could even host something like that.
Yeah.
It sounds like we gotta, I know we gotta do a show somewhere on Hurdle, between your friend over at the skate shop, and I did something at Revolution Gallery, and then you have a studio up in NT, right? What's the name of the gallery?
It's at the Carnegie Art Center.
Carnegie Art Center.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's just in the basement there, but
would that be like a short school field trip worthy thing for my students at all? I'm an elementary art teacher. I don't know. It was the Carnegie Art Center.
It would be. It's a beautiful building.
Cool.
Yeah. I think it stopped being a library in 1976.
Oh, it was a library. That's probably really cool.
Yeah, but it was one of Carnegie, he built, I think it was 2,800 libraries around the country in the early 1900s, and this was one of them.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then since 76, it's been like a cultural center here in North Tonawanda.
Is it kind of like downtown North Tonawanda near like Remington Tavern and all that stuff?
Yeah, it's close to that.
Dude, that's turning into such a cool freaking neighborhood, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, telling America, watch out for Buffalo, man. Western New York.
Yeah, for sure.
Downtown North Tonawanda and down kind of in not quite South Buffalo, but the Buffalo waterfront by Riverworks. Like, these are 2 awesome neighborhoods. So let me tell you for an example, and I'll shut up in a second. So my wife's cousin lives in an apartment building in North Tonawanda, which is on Ellicott Creek, I think. There's a bike path outside of his house. On the creek, he, a few weeks out of the summer, just like docks his boat, like right on the creek from his like new James Bond like loft apartment. He could literally like walk downstairs, get a drink, get on his fucking boat and like drive off.
Yeah.
Now, and any other like big city, that would cost like millions of dollars to do any of that. And it probably just not even a fraction of, what he has to pay to have that lifestyle is so cool.
I think,
and it's just so cool, man.
Western New York in general is just it's just coming up.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's just like, and for a small town, we have a lot of arts and culture, which is really awesome.
Huge art scene. I know people complain about the weather, but I think I personally like all the seasons, and it's just a great place to live, and people are friendly, and it's still affordable. and yeah, the art and music scene is thriving here.
Yes, and winters is tough, but I do
Yeah,
think
yeah,
it builds character. I really do think it builds character in our citizens. You know, like
yeah.
when it's 2 a.m. and you know leave a bar or restaurant and it's 10 degrees outside. You can't fuck around.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like you make sure all your friends are accounted for before you
Yeah.
before you hit the road. You know.
I'm slacking off.
So I think I covered most of what I wanted to talk about. Is how could people find out you know more about you, Jacob, and how could they find your socials and stuff like that?
Well, I got a website. It's www.jkeds.com. And you can also find me on Instagram, jkeds_art. And then next week, the 15th from 6 to 8, I'm holding a collage workshop at the Carnegie Art Center.
Nice.
It's $10. No experience necessary. You don't need to bring anything. We have paper, scissors, materials. Yeah, so that's the 15th.
Awesome.
And then you can go on to the Carnegie website and register, or you can just show up. I think it's $15 just showing up at the door.
Great. Well, I'll make sure to post this quick and get all those links in the description
Yeah.
of the video. Is there anything else you wanted to mention? Any other stuff coming up the next few months?
I mean, that's pretty much it. But I want to thank you for hosting the show and everything you do for the Buffalo Collage Society, or whatever you want to call it.
I'm just sitting in my studio with a bunch of toys and talking to you, man. So I'm happy to be talking to you.
I'm looking forward to getting the Buffalo Collage Guild. Like,
yeah,
the first meetup, we just gotta get there. And
I do. I think we just gotta hang out and like see who's interested. I think we might need to make a Facebook page too. I'm not sure if I did that. Yeah. Oh, I was gonna tell you something. after all this shit. Oh, so one of my future guests is a woman from Ukraine, and she has a collage collective in Ukraine.
Really?
Yeah, and she was like, "Oh, can we do it at this time because you know we have the power outages and we're trying to like collectively save power." I was like, "Holy shit!" And in my head, I'm like, "Oh, is there an address we could send magazines to to help the effort?" But I'm like, "What the hell are you thinking, man? Like, what, you know,
well, I would
probably need something else."
I have so many scraps. So I'm hoping this workshop people use up all my stuff to make space.
Oh, they'll use some, and then they're gonna make more.
Yeah.
One piece of advice, one thing that helped me with my workshops, and anyone listening, if you host a workshop, they're a lot of fun. If you give them an envelope full of the scraps, like their own little collage kit, like, and they feel a little bit more limited to what they got, then it cuts down on how much time that they're just looking through stuff and like cutting up your books, right? So I give them like the paper, and I tell them they could trade with people or do what they want or ask around. But I used to just lug so many heavy books, and then I just started taking my scraps, but cool ones, full sheets or whatever, and you know, putting like 20 of them in like a pouch for the workshop. And it saved my back a little bit, and it seems to save a little bit of time too.
That's great advice. I'm probably gonna do that.
Nice. Yeah, let me know how it goes. I gotta check the date. I'll see if I can make it. That'd be a lot of fun. I've been meaning to check out the Carnegie Art Center too for a while.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Jacob, thanks so much for coming out. Really appreciate it.
So much.
And have a happy and wonderful Thanksgiving and holiday season.
I will. You too.
All right, see you, buddy.
All right, see ya.